All right. Welcome, everybody. I know. I think we're supposed to start to see if we have anything to share out from closed session.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, and that. We'll get to that. All right. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Superintendent.
Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someday.
Now what do I do? Now do I do the report out?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll start to see if we have anything to report out from closed session. I know the answer, but
I'm sorry, Vice President Singh, I think we're on the broadcast section.
oh, okay. I will eventually get over to and ask you this very important question to report out. Go ahead.
Okay. This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded and will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. Today's meeting will be aired Sunday, April 7th at 9 a.m. and Monday, April 8th at 6 p.m. It is also webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and can be viewed on Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form which are located in the back of the room and give them to our communications representative, along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you very much. We did have a Stellar student, but that's going to be postponed till next week. And Member Pritchett will take care of that next week, or at our next session in a couple of weeks. Finally, announcements in closed session.
There are no announcements coming out of closed session.
I was just waiting for that. All right. And before we get into public comment, I just want to say I appreciate President Phillips for allowing the sharing of the chair. She will not be here tonight, so just we will continue and make sure we do our job here. So we'll move over to public comment.
No, 6.1 agenda adoption.
Agenda adoption. Oh my God. I also want the community to know that I've drank a lot of coffee today. Agenda adoption.
I'll move it.
All right. Thank you.
I will second it.
Thank you. Do we need a aye? All in favor? Aye. Cool. Public comment.
We have one speaker signed up. That's Vivian Toddy. Vivian Toddy?
Good evening. My name is Vivian Toddy. I'm Cherokee, Navajo, and Tewa. I'm an 8th grader at Albert Einstein Middle School. I'm here to tell you about my experience with the American Indian Education Program. Through the American Indian Education Program, I've been able to attend cultural classes such as beading, moccasin making, and ribbon skirt making classes. I've also participated in the AIEP graduation ceremony and summer program. All of these classes and programs were taught by community members and elders. Due to the new insurance requirements, we have not been able to have our cultural classes and events this year. I'm disappointed that we haven't been able to have these cultural events like we used to in past years. I was also looking forward to having Dr. Lael, a cultural educator, come to my history class. Her presentation for my class and 49 other presentations have been delayed because of the insurance requirements. Thank you for your time. I hope the school board can help us find a speedy solution to this, so that way we can have at least a few more cultural events before the school year is over. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more speakers.
All right, thank you so much. So moving on to item 8.0, we'll start with our employee organization report, so SETA.
Good evening, Board Member Singh and members of the board and Superintendent Allen. I'm Nikki Malevsky, President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. And like many of you, I'm sure, we are happy that tonight's meeting has a relatively light agenda. And even though we've just returned from spring break and with today's miserable weather, I think we could all use an early night. So on behalf of SCTA, we wanted to say again that things continue to progress in the district. Yesterday, we held our second multi-tiered system of support design committee, and the overwhelming feeling in the room was of optimism and hope. Simultaneously, the district's community schools committee was also meeting and working last night. We are excited to say that we expect that by the next time this board meets, we will have hired a district-wide community school specialist. And on that note, we wanted to invite you to a forum that we will be holding on Wednesday, April 24th, to discuss the development of community schools throughout the county and to highlight the work we've done here in Sac City Unified. The forum will be held at Luther Burbank High School and will begin at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 24th. We will be joined by David Goldberg, the president of the California Teachers Association, and we hope that you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have SEIU. Going once, going twice. All right. Next up, TCS. Teamsters and UPE. Okay. Moving on to 8.2, District Advisory Committees. We'll start with Student Advisory Council. Community Advisory Committee. The district's English Learner Advisory Committee.
Good evening, board members. My name is Vlastimil Krbeček, multilingual department. I'm here today on a special occasion and pleasure to introduce you to our new DILAC members, actually DILAC officers. And also on behalf of Mr. M.D. Rahul, I would like to share something about him. He's our new president. He came to the United States in 1998 from Bangladesh. He speaks Bengali and is an engineer working for Caltrans. His two sons, Safir and Shamel, attend Johnston Cade School. As the new DILAC board president, Mr. MD's vision is to foster stronger Johnston community. He is committed to supporting newcomers with resources to enable them to be English learners and also learn English much faster, as he said, and be as successful citizens. Now I would like to pass this word to my next officer.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Anita, soy la vicepresidenta de DILAC y vengo a aprender y ayudar a los padres. Y tengo dos hijas, una en Miwok y otra en West Campus.
Hi, my name is Anita Farias, and I am serving as your DILAC Vice Chair. I have two children in the district, one at Miwok and one at West Campus. And I'm happy to be here to help parents advance in their learning about how to navigate the system in Sac City, and also looking forward to learning myself.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Suhey Farias, and I am the new student youth representative as well as the secretary. I'm a junior at West Campus High School, and I'm just happy to be here representing DILAC, and I just see it as a great opportunity for me. So thank you.
Let's give them a big round. It took them a lot to come here. Round of applause.
Thank you so much. Moving on to LCAP. BAAB. Community Schools Advisory Committee. Native American Parent Committee.
Hello again. My name is Kathleen Avendano. I am the secretary for the American Indian Education Program. It's wrong on the agenda, by the way. It's the American Indian Education Program Parent Committee. I wasn't the scheduled speaker for tonight, so bear with me. I have 3 children at Sac City Unified. I'm also an employee for Sacramento City Unified School District, so I've doubled down on this district. I was talking with my kids about what I was going to say today, and my daughter took all my ideas. No, I'm just kidding. So I just want to reiterate on what she said. You know, I'm constantly having to explain to my children why things are put on hold right now. And it's just a shame. We're 3/4 through the year. I think third quarter ends this Friday. And a lot of stuff has been stalled and delayed because of needing clarity, needing to figure out a way how to help keep our program going and thriving, especially after COVID. We're still trying to rebuild. So just to reiterate, a lot of programs still on hold. Specifically, our classroom educator, Melissa Layell, has 49 presentations that have been delayed this year, with requests still coming in every day. And also with our planning our summer program and our Native American graduation, we are having to work around the insurance requirement, well, not work around, work within our requirements that are being held to us. And lastly, I just want to thank you for your support. I know that you are working with us and not against us, which is nice for school board, and your support with the mural project. It was great seeing that you guys there that were able to make it in the rain and sun. And we would also like to invite you to our Native American graduation, which is May 30th, here at the Cerna Center. You will be receiving a formal invitation, so don't worry about jotting it down. We got you covered. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, moving on to 9.0, 9.1, approve the resolution number 3396, recognition of Adult Education Week. We have Dr. Gilmore, Dr. Galbraith, and Mr. Carlin.
Greetings, Board President Phillips in her absence, Vice President Singh, School Board Trustees, and Superintendent Allen. I am Dr. Carla Galbraith, Interim Director of Adult Education. In honor of California Adult Education Week, recognized April 7 through 13, 2024, I am presenting for adoption Resolution 3396, Recognition of Adult Education Week, which reads, whereas the first recorded adult education class in California was held in the basement of St. Mary's Cathedral in San Francisco in 1856, the class was authorized by the San Francisco Board of Education to teach English to Irish, Italian, and Chinese immigrants. John Sweat, who was the first volunteer teacher for the class, later became a state superintendent of public instruction. And whereas adult schools have been utilized on numerous occasions to assist the state as it dealt with significant social, political, and economic issues through job training programs during World War II, immigration reform of the 1980s, and most recently, the Great Recession. And whereas adult education in California overcame its biggest challenge as a result of the severe economic crisis facing both the state and the nation in 2008-2009. Funding that was previously reserved for adult education was redistributed to other levels of education in the state, resulting in many adult schools decreasing in size and some closing. And whereas Over 66% of adult learners enrolled in adult schools across California in the 2022-23 school year were between the ages of 25 and 54, making them likely to have children in our public school system. The impact of adult education is felt across generations, particularly for early childhood learners who have been characterized as a priority of the governor and legislature. And whereas the Sacramento City Unified School District provides a safe environment for its students, free from discrimination or bullying, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. And whereas, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, adult education continued to provide critical programming and services to our adult education students and their families via literacy and basic skills to help ensure our K-12 students were successful as they navigated the challenge of distance learning to finish the school year. And whereas, amid the COVID-19 pandemic and ongoing today, adult education provides important short-term career training programs, including critical healthcare positions to address both the short and long-term impacts and to respond to Governor Newsom's charge to meet the moment and address the needs of our communities. And whereas, the California Adult Education Program celebrates its 10th anniversary this year, having been established into law in 2014. Whereas the state of California will proclaim Adult Education Week during the week of April 7th through April 13th, 2024. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Sacramento City Unified School District strongly supports adult education as an important part of the development of human beings. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Sacramento City Unified School District strongly urges the Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and the California Legislature to recognize the important role of K-12 adult education in addressing the needs of our communities in the short and long term, and to increase access to programs and services for the most in need and not yet reached members of our great state.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Board comments? You're up.
Thank you so much for all the work you do. As we look at how quickly technology is changing, and now with the invention of generative AI and how that is quickly changing our world, the fact that we're supposed to have all the education we need at the age of 22 to be successful is just ludicrous. And so I'm so thankful for the work that you do, not only supporting folks in getting the education that we expect, that we tend to offer to children, but not to adults. But the idea of we need to expand to keep supporting anybody and everybody in growing and changing in this rapidly changing world. So thank you for all the hard work that you do and for bringing this to us tonight. Thank you.
I'll just comment real quick. Adult education, I think a lot about community members from my community who have moved here from Punjab, and English is not the first language, obviously. And coming here, I know that my wife's grandfather, who's, I think he's around 60 something when he moved here, he got enrolled in adult education the next day. And he was a retired Army officer, but English was still limited. And he took it on to really learn how to read and write and understand the language. He had this desire to communicate, right? It's this human desire to get to know people. And like the adult education space is where he regained and kind of rekindled those skills from a language perspective. So I just think it's so important, and I'm really excited that we're supporting this resolution to recognize this. All right. Have a motion? I'll move. All right. Do we do, student preferential?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Moved.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's on. She told me to turn it on.
And I think you stay here so we can get an adult education update.
Sure.
All right.
Again, good evening, Board President Phillips in her absence, Vice President Singh, trustees, and Superintendent Allen. Again, I am Dr. Carla Galbraith, Interim Director of Adult Education. It is an honor and, oh, I'm sorry. We have it up there, okay. It is an honor to present the great work of adult education and how it shapes and affects our world. Our theme tonight is adult education, empowering our adult learners. Do I continue? Great. The purpose of adult education is in conjunction with our district guiding principle for all students to be given the greatest number of post-secondary choices and opportunities for success. We have two centers that serve the adults in our programs. The Charles A. Jones Center and Educational Center, Career and Educational Center, is certified by 4 organizations. The Council on Occupational Education, we call that COE, Western Association of Schools and Colleges, you know it as WASC, American Society of Health System Pharmacists, and the Board of Professional Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. I need to make this bigger. And the A. Warren McClaskey Adult Center is 100% funded by the Alta California Regional Center. Tonight, we will attempt to pour 150 years of education into 13 minutes. We will start with a historical timeline, highlight our 2 educational centers and our outstanding job center, then tell you our plans for the remainder of the school year and beyond. Adult schools were established in California in 1856. Then adult schools were established in this district in 1872. For 95 years, various locations were used until the State Fairgrounds gave the building to the district for the Adult Skills Center, renamed the Charles A. Jones Center in 1967, located on Stockton and Broadway. 10 years later, in 1978, the old El Dorado Elementary School was repurposed for the A. Warren McClaskey Adult School, where they are still located. Finally, in 1999, the beautiful Charles A. Jones Center was built on Lemon Hill Avenue. This is our silver 25th year at CAJ on Lemon Hill. The McClaskey site is a historical site registered in the Center of California History Catalog. The building still stands since 1920 on 53rd and J. McClaskey serves adults with disabilities from age 24 and older. They enrich their students with community access, job exploration, and socialization skills. You are invited to visit their plant sales, which are the result of their state-of-the-art 21st century gardening program. The Charles A. Jones Center currently offers 11 vocational programs. Please allow me to read some of this list: manufacturing, intro to manufacturing, welding, electromechanical assembly, materials handling and logistics, forklift operation, vocational nursing, nursing assistant, medical assistant, pharmacy technician, and our new pharmacy clerk certification. We offer 6 educational programs leading to literacy, fluency, and high school equivalency. California uses 2 high school equivalency tests, the GED and the HiSET. we offer the HISET. Perhaps you didn't know that our district is the LEA, Local Education Agency, for the California Firefighter Apprenticeship. Adult Education manages the program for the district for the entire state of California. The Transitional Adult Program for students with disabilities is Rosemont High School's program housed at CAJ. Finally, Ed2Go online instruction is yet another opportunity for adults to have post-secondary opportunities for success. Ed2Go.com offers programs such as grant writing, Microsoft Excel, Adobe Illustrator, and QuickBooks that adults can take at home. Our adult education department houses the SETA Job Center right on the CAJ campus at the entrance. Their most popular component is employment services, but they support the whole individual with social services, veteran services, and immigrant and refugee services, which is huge in Sacramento. Potential job seekers benefit from counseling and workshops, and all youth under and over the age of 18 can receive support from in-school and out-of-school youth services. This quote from Henry Ford is befitting and states, "Anyone who stops learning is old, whether this happens at 20 or at 80. Anyone who keeps on learning not only remains young, but becomes consistently more valuable, regardless of physical capacity." I've given you quite a bit of information, but now I want you to see the true impact and voices from the students and staff. Here is a short video. Welcome to the Adult Education Department for the Sacramento City Unified School District, located at Charles A. Jones Career and Education Center and the A. Warren McClaskey Adult Center.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick Ciani and I teach HISET here at CHA. I've been teaching here for 24 years and I've loved every minute of it. It's so wonderful to teach adults who are here working hard to better their lives, and they're an inspiration to me.
Hi, my name is Larnie Gallardo. I'm a registered nurse. I have been a nurse since 1990, and I have been the program director at Charles A. Jones for the nursing department since 2010. We have a 100% pass rate for the state board exam, and we are generating good nurses out there who are receiving a minimum of $34 an hour as a starting rate. And according to the findings is that California in 2025 will need 36,000 more nurses in the workforce. So we're doing a great job at Charles A. Jones. Thank you for this time.
Sacramento City Unified School District Adult Education enriches the lives of adults. It's a wonderful place to be.
Welcome to CAJ.
This is Financial Office.
We're here to help students.
What? Good. And here? And here?
Clean.
And here?
Prepare.
Those are past tense verbs, not negative. And we see that ED. Here again?
Prepare.
Hi, welcome to the library. Try to make everybody as comfortable as we can so they can study in a very quiet and learning-inducive environment.
Welcome to the Job Center. We're preparing people for success in school, in work, and in life.
My name is Amisha Baha. I'm a student here in CAG, and I'm in HISET program. I really like it. It's very good. Yeah, I really like it. Everyone wants to come here, enroll it. It's very good. Thank you.
Hi. We are here at Charles A. Jones.
We just finished our prereq classes
and we
recently.
are going for the VN program. And we love it here.
Yeah, we like it. We love it.
Hey, welcome to McClaskey.
Yes, welcome to McClaskey.
Our students, our school is for adults with developmental disabilities. Everyone here has some issues. and the garden has been a great vehicle for people to work through their health situations, their mental health situations, get one in with nature. We work with all kinds of volunteers. We've got about 15 volunteers that come in. The inclusion is awesome.
We got micro businesses we're starting for each of the students. We're cooking from the garden. We've dehydrated lemons and oranges and grapefruits that have been from the garden.
And Kathy and I have done this program since 2012, but it was kind of an offset from our classes. I did graphic arts, Kathy did
leisure time skills.
During the pandemic, we could no longer do graphic arts, so we moved into the garden, and it's been blossoming.
Upcoming dates for adult education include next week, April 8th through 12th, Adult Education Week. April 25th, our Spring Open House, Resource and Job Fair, which we are bringing back after many years. May 6th through 10th, you've heard of Teacher Appreciation Week, but this is Nurses and Teachers Appreciation Week. Shout out to the nurses back there. June 5th, our transitional adult program will be graduating, and June 21st, you are invited to the Charles A. Jones graduation. I want to highlight a very important date not listed. This is an accreditation year for Charles A. Jones. The COE WASP Visiting Committee will be here in October, which means our self-study report is due in August when we return from the summer. We started this school year focused on each component of accreditation and updating our strategic plan to align with the district LCAP goals. The staff has been working diligently to capture all evidence and data to be granted full 6-year accreditation. This is a critical time for adult education. Currently, we have 5 applications in process to grow our programs and to create revenue. We want to bring back the adult high school diploma program. We haven't had one since Fremont Adult School closed in 2012. This will increase our district's graduation rate and decrease the dropout rate, giving our non-grads the opportunity to finish with us in Sac City. We want to apply for the nail technician program, nursing care program, and we want to bring back the computer systems networking and telecommunications program, which is accredited through Cisco. And we are here tonight. I'd like to recognize the staff and faculty from adult education. If you can stand, please. They're a little bit of a rowdy bunch. At this time, we are here to receive any questions. 57 seconds. Yes. Yes.
Any questions or comments from my fellow friends? Oh, public comment first. Sorry.
We have no public comment on this.
Sorry. Those are also my friends. Now my friends up here. Go ahead.
Thank you for that presentation, and I love the idea that you're bringing on some additional programming or thinking about additional programming that we can add to, and the benefit of our pool to bring in more adults into the program. I have one important question: when can I come buy some plants?
Clifton Carley here, Coordinator 3 Adult Education. Our plant fair is when, McClaskey? April 19th.
April 19th.
9 to 2 p.m., J and 53rd Street.
April 19th. I got it on my calendar. Anybody that knows me, I'm a big gardener.
Come on, everyone, please come and join our campuses. Anytime you guys feel up to it, come give us a visit on our campuses. It's important that we make this connection with you all so you can see what we're doing for our community. That's the most important thing, is our community. We are changing lives. We are definitely changing lives.
You guys are definitely doing great work. All of you are doing great work, so thank you.
All right. I'll just add real quick. McClaskey is down the street, so I have visited a couple times. You weren't there when I visited. It's all good. I'm sure you were there, just weren't there when I was there. And it's a beautiful place. It's historical. The gym area has the murals. It's beautiful. Has that old school smell because it's an old place. But my only actual question is the adult high school diploma that you mentioned. What is the actual process for that, and what's the timeline? Because that sticks out. If we can actually get folks to complete their high school education, it's something that we've mentioned. It's another step of ensuring folks can actually stay off the street because they can get a high school education and then go get a job. So what does that look like?
The adult high school diploma program is accredited through WASC.
Okay.
My plan is to finish the application and be able to talk about it when they come to the campus this year for accreditation. It does take 12 to 15 months to approve, but again, my hope is that I can get it approved, or someone, when they come to us in October. We've been in contact with district counseling because we'll probably need a counselor, a registrar, and then your basic education. We have math and English. We can get a science teacher. We can make this happen.
Okay. Thank you. Student member Segura?
Just on that as well, with the process for that, if it does get approved through you guys and it gets implemented into the system, what does the reach out for that look like? How is expansion into also like within our own district of students who are not on the track for graduation or are post that, but also outside of our own school district, bringing those people in? Is there any plans for that or any requirements on those ends?
Yes, thank you for your question. We will stay in contact with the high schools. So if we have any seniors that weren't able to pull it out and weren't able to graduate, they can come to us. Right now, throughout the county, we are the only district that does not offer an adult diploma program. So our non-grads have to go somewhere else or go online. It would be so nice for them to stay right with us.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Let's do it. You want to do it? Can we actually have everyone from adult education come up so we can take a photo? Let's go, Lisa. You know what? I'm not following any rules today anyway, so.
No rules.
Bro, you're on one today.
Bro, I was there. I didn't see nobody. I just thought I met Miss.
How you doing?
And then she forgot that.
Oh, no, I'm center. I have to move.
I got you.
I want to be center. I'm not dressed for anything.
Oh, you won't be seeing that.
That's fine.
Here we go.
It's okay. You guys. Oh, no.
We have nurses here. They're okay? Okay.
We good? I'm hiding.
Tara G, push it. I'm sorry, I'm holding you like this.
Thank you.
Every time I do this,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do it at 5. I saw this time. Totally my fault. Why not?
There's no.
You're just having a night tonight. It's different. It's a different night.
Our video's coming. Can we open with that?
We had that news. I know. I think we're going to.
It was like not even like they didn't have it. They also didn't.
The gavel, Gracie.
No, you're fine. If I have an answer, I'm going to give it to you. 9.3.
All right. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. That is going to be hard to follow. We don't have a video or a crowd, but we've got a great program to share with you tonight.
The crowd's still here for you, so don't.
Oh, there they are. So I guess, do I have to wait for it to be on that screen?
This isn't working, so folks those screens should be working, so you're good to go.
Okay, thank you. So good evening. I'm Shannon Pella, Deputy Chief of Academics, and I'm very happy to be joined here tonight by Daniel Spinka, Director of Career Readiness, and the newest member of the College and Career Readiness team, Jill Tom, who is our new Director of Master Scheduling. And together they are going to share with you our program updates. Before we start, I just want to recognize that college and career is squarely within both our core values and guiding principles, and what they will share with you tonight should reflect both.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Allen, thank you for having us tonight. We're excited to present to you. We've got a lot. We're going to just kind of focus on a couple of things because we have a short amount of time. As Shannon said, our work is really centered around the core value and guiding principle. And we're going to share with you some data tonight and some of the work that we're doing that we hope conveys how important that these two things are to us. We also have a lot of acronyms, so that's shared with you in the glossary of terms. This is just an infographic that kind of shows kind of how we position ourselves in the work that we do. We carry a lot. We carry CTE, we carry counseling, we carry master scheduling, a lot of miscellaneous work around the district, a lot. And so hopefully we'll kind of communicate some of that tonight. This is an infographic around the organization of our office. On the blue side is the career readiness side. That includes career technical education, career academies, linked learning, anything where the word career kind of surfaces is my side of the house. And then I'm gonna, as Shannon mentioned, Jill Tom, which some of you know from Hiram Johnson, is the newest valuable member of our team, and I'll let her kind of share her side of the house.
So with Jackie Navarez and myself, we oversee counseling and then the administrator attached to counseling, and also at the high school and the middle school level.
And so we have over 5,000 students who are enrolled in CTE pathways. As some of you know, last year we also started the rollout of our middle school labs. And we have over 23 CTE teachers, and that doesn't include our middle school teachers, which actually puts us over 30. This is just a quick breakdown of what that looks like. This is just some visuals of what that looks like at all of our different high schools. And this is a little bit of the data. Every year we report annual data around the performance of our CTE programs. I'm going to let Jill kind of explain to you district-wide how we're performing around graduation in A to G, and then I'll start to unpack what that looks like for our CTE programs.
And so if you focus on the purple, you can see it's the graduation A through G rate over time. And if you look at the graduation rate from, where it goes from 87 to 83, you might go, ooh, what happened, right? But that's when we had our state minimum requirements. So through the work of the counselors, the administrators, and then as we roll into the final quarter, our seniors really pushing hard on them, we are very confident, and the numbers are looking like both a graduation A through G rates will be higher. So all of that's great news moving into the close of the school year.
And you'll see on the data, there's some numbers that probably stick out and don't seem right, and that 99% graduation rate, that's students who complete a CTE pathway. And that's actually statistics that's consistent nationwide. Students who complete a CTE pathway graduate at statistically high numbers. And that's why the board over recent years has shown, you all have shown investments in our CTE programs, why we know they're valuable, and why we work so tirelessly to improve our programs. Another really impressive growth that we've seen over the last couple years is our students completing our CTE pathways and becoming A to G ready. If you look at the A to G and our students completing CTE pathways, we're actually at around pre-COVID numbers, which is great. I mean, we're really only 2 years away from coming back to the classroom. And we know this is kind of like our first kind of normal experience in the classroom, and to see those numbers, 60% is great. And we also, coming back from COVID, to see our work-based learning climb so rapidly and see students get real-world work experience. It's such a high growth number. It's been a lot of work, but it's been rewarding. And so these are our department goals. I'm going to go rather quickly because these goals are tied directly to the LCAP. Increasing the graduation, increasing the CCI. It's all aligned to the LCAP, all aligned to our goals. So our department is focused very closely on improving the conditions for our focal populations, and we've had a rollout. And so we started that rollout for our English learners, particularly our newcomers, but comprehensively our English learners. And that was phase 1 of our kind of equity rollout. And phase 2 was our students with disabilities. And we've transitioned into phase 3, which is our African American or Black students. And so we're kind of sharing with you for phase 1 and 2, as we've started to collect the data on those rollouts, how we're starting to see the growth. And I think what's nice to see is when you create supports for students, you hope that those supports create results, right? And so we're seeing that, and with our students with disabilities completing our pathways, we've seen a significant growth. And sometimes, you see a number go from 10 to 15. Yeah, that's a 50% growth. But when you actually look at the number itself, is showing a big climb, right? And so how are we doing that? And so we've kind of changed how we approach supporting students. We've created focus groups, and those focus groups include people with lived experience. So we have our students with disabilities focus groups actually have people who've had IEPs, who've had disabilities, who have disabilities, who have IEPs, working with the Alta Regional Center, working with our special education department as a focus group, creating interventions for students, creating summer experiences for students, creating summer opportunities. We have that same sort of design for our English learners and for our African American or Black students. And we're meeting regularly once a month to create summer experiences for students. And our goal is to create, not only improve the CTE completion of our students, but also create the experience that our students have in our district. So you kind of see a breakdown of the cohorts. We're also working closely with Sacramento City College to create STEM science camps that will be open district-wide for students. The pilot this year is 50. We may increase that if we can find the staffing at Sacramento City College to provide more opportunity for more Sacramento City students. But over the next 3 years, our goal is to have that opportunity be available for 250 students per summer. And those students will get a stipend. The original number was $300. It looks like we may be able to provide a $500 stipend for students to have that 1 week summer camp. And this is, because our community supports the work that we're doing and they're willing to put dollars behind the support. This is, we're running low on time, so I'm going to let you look at this. This is some of the work you're seeing in the news, some of the work that you're seeing people talk about how we're scaling the work, but I want Jill to have some time to talk about the master scheduling work that she's doing.
All right, I got a minute. Here we go. So some of the work that goes on the master scheduling side of the house and working with the school counselors. So we are going out to sites and working with the middle school principals and counselors and administrators in how to create a student-centered master schedule so that students graduate with the most possible post-secondary options. And then also trying to focus in on supporting our kids in our newcomer pathway and proper cohorting in the academies to create some common prep, some time, built-in time in the school day. And then also the counselors have been working really hard in order to support our seniors with the FAFSA and college apps. And then, for the rest of the grade levels, just providing some college field trips and information and other supports that are offered by counseling. This data table shows some of the work that has gone on throughout the Sac City Unified, and you can see the number of application workshops that have been offered and some of the field trips and the college and career opportunities that have been given to students. And then some of the extra work that goes on through the college and career side is that, we do some of the work with the freshman cohort, the 9th grade work, and then, working on an MOU for dual enrollment to better support the students and the staff. And recently also some formal letters, like some systems put in place so that students and parents are aware of their progress throughout the year. So that's just some broad overviews very quickly, and there you have it.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
All right. Do we have any comments up here? Or questions? Okay, I'll ask a question while your brain's warming up. So actually I have a couple of thoughts. I think, one, I think we went to APITA, right? The APITA conference in Sac State. And I think it's just amazing when you actually focus on a community or a group of folks, it allows kids to feel even more seen. Like in my day job, we make sure that we reach out to HBCUs, for example, when we're talking about scholarships. The fact that we reach out to folks is what really helps them make that decision sometimes, because they actually feel like, whoa, folks are actually looking out for us. So I just appreciate that we're doing that. And I see that with the master scheduling, hopefully we can get even a more concentrated effort of getting folks aligned. My only question is, I saw the JFK bus emissions program. I was recently at Hiram Johnson. I'm there a lot, as you know. But we obviously know we have the transportation department right behind us. And when I went to visit the transportation department, there's no students there. And I'm wondering if that's a lost opportunity for CTE. We have buses, we have everything being fixed there. It's a beautiful facility. There's a gym. But beyond that, there's actually great folks that are working there. And in my short conversation, it seems like folks are interested in the idea. So I would love to see if there's any idea around expanding our CTE to ensure that the transportation department and that facility specifically could be used to help our students get ahead of the game when it comes to, whether we're working on regular engines or electric engines.
Yeah, I mean, when we kind of redesigned that traditional auto program, we had that auto space at JFK. And, I think kind of to answer your question twofold. One, we want to utilize our district for work-based learning because we're seeing nationwide, but particularly in our district, a shortage of our own workforce, right? So with our IT department, with our own kind of district-wide, right? In every department, we're seeing a shortage. I mean, if you look at our own org chart, half our department is vacant, right? And So we want to utilize all our departments in our work-based learning because we want to build our own workforce. So to answer part of that question, and then I think for you all, right, like our district hasn't done a lot in CTE in terms of changing the pathways, in terms of either modernizing or rethinking the pathways that we have in a lot of years, right? And so I think it's time, it's not that we're gutting anything, but enhancing, expanding, right? So we need to look at the workforce data. We want to make investments on jobs that are going to pay students sustainable wages. Like, we don't want to put an investment towards a student's training and then have them go make money that's not going to pay the bills. We want them to go make money that's going to pay their family's wages. So those auto technician jobs will do that. And so maybe if it's successful at JFK, it makes sense to have another program somewhere that's also doing that. But we need to use the workforce data. We need to use our community support. And I think that's where you all make a lot of sense to be support partners, right? And I think there's multiple industries where it's time for us to really rethink what we're doing. We wrote some really exciting grants right before the break. I think construction, right? Global climate change isn't going anywhere. And we need our students to be the innovators in the change. And I think that's why JFK was so exciting nationwide. We're going to be presenting on that next week to the entire state. We're going to have the leader of CTE for the U.S. Department of Education at the conference, right? And JFK was the leader in that work, and it was because our students are addressing climate change. So let's do that in multiple industries. And I think all of us in this space can be those leaders right now. So I think JFK is just the spark to do that, and let's do it in all the industries.
I appreciate that. I guess I'm just gonna push a little bit with the Johnson space, because part of it is that schools that generally perform lower no matter how we phrase it, don't get the resources that they oftentimes deserve.
Yeah.
JFK is a great school, love JFK. Hiram Johnson oftentimes is kind of kicked to the side. We have this space that's literally across the street from the school.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking us to think deeper and pushing, because it's data-driven that got you the JFK, the money for JFK or the resources for JFK. So if that data is there, then we know that these type of jobs pay well. So then that means the same system can be brought into a place like Johnson initially before you open it up to the rest of the district anyways.
And I 100% agree. And if you look at the Cap City Radio interview, I think the opening statement is the hardest part of doing new CT programs is the facilities. And I just met with Nathaniel Browning, and it wasn't an official conversation, but he said, we're going to be doing a new team around really thinking about our facilities. And the hardest part around CT pathways is facilities. And you go to Elk Grove, you go statewide, it's the facilities, right? And so you can't start an auto program without the facility, and that's beyond my control, right? But I can be part of that conversation, but it's going to take somebody beyond me, Christina, Jill, it's beyond what we can do in terms of a facility. And so I'm 100% in support of those sorts of movements, but it's going to take a significant investment in terms of the district to do things at any school where the facility is not existing, because our grants can't construct a facility, and so it's going to take a district's significant investment. And so we're 100% on board in terms of rethinking that, but I can't use any of our grants to construct something. So let's, I guess my response is let's do it.
I agree. I'm gonna pass it on to my colleagues. I would just say the facility exists. So if we can walk through the transportation department, it looks like a school. It looks like we have classrooms. We have everything we need. So I'd love to take a walk with you, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass it on. I've been talking too long. Member Pritchett, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. I have a few questions. First off, on slide 11, with the special population highlights, on the first bar that you have here on the 22-23 school year, you have a really big jump for the special education CTE participants. I know you had talked about the different ways that you were going out and doing some marketing and getting people involved. Can you tell me about like how many of those stayed involved in the program to the very end? I know you talked about like the EL participants, but like overall, do you have like a percentage of how many of everybody?
You mean
stayed involved?
for 23, 24?
yeah.
Yeah, we have not run that data. I mean, that would be live data. We have not run that particular number. We can definitely, we're looking at, on UC Merced, we try and monitor that live, but because it's a fluid number of going in and out, and it's particularly with our students with disabilities, with those case managers needing to be responsive with students and stuff, that is a fluid number. So it's typically like an end of year number that we have to look at. But we'll definitely have that as we close the year out. We report that in CalPADS, and we'll have that number as a much more reliable number.
Okay, that'd be great. And I'm a big proponent of CTE programs. Rosemont was forever, I felt like, was one of those forgotten schools. Remember saying like UVille about Johnson, and I fought really hard when coming onto this board to help get an the ECD program there off the ground, and it's succeeding. But my question to you, and I don't know if it's a question for. Oh, I don't see Janaea here. But maybe you can answer this, is do you feel like the current funding that your department has is enough to be able to keep these programs going and flourishing, or are they just kind of stagnant the way they are?
There's been some challenges. The money that we get, we can do things like that. We can buy equipment, right? We can keep the equipment funded. Some of the challenges have been just how they were initially designed, right? There's like one facility that allows one teacher oftentimes to teach like one grade level. So there's kind of like one sequence of courses. So it's been hard in cases to have the sequence grow. So we've had to think creatively, like, and this is where it's been great. Jill's, a few weeks in, right? And we were literally in the back table trying to rethink some of these, like, how can we think critically around how could we get more students to have a rich experience, but get more students to have the experience. I think sometimes, like Rosemont's an example, some of those teachers can't fit more students in that space. And if that space was a little bit bigger, more kids would get in there, and then it would also, in terms of how linked learning operates, it would allow for more kids to be in other classes as well. There's other things that, like, our grants don't allow us to pay for, and I think a little more funding that was flexible for us would allow us to do a lot more. We've advocated with the state. We've regularly attended meetings with the CDE, with the governor's office, to try and advocate for more flexibility with how that money comes to us. And we're doing our best with what we have.
All right, and I appreciate that you're going out and looking for grants, and I know that space is definitely an issue at some of our sites, but I totally agree with Member Singh of, like, we've been talking about Johnson and trying to get a program going there for a really long time, and I feel like often funding comes into play, right? And the reason why I bring it up is I just want to remind us all, when we're talking about budgets and funding, that we've got to put programs like this at the forefront, because it's really important for our kids when we're talking about getting them just to complete their A through G requirements, right? And how important this plays right into it.
Yeah.
So, and then my last question to you is kind of related to the presentation, but not really, but it's related to you guys. So I was just talking to our student board member about credit recovery, and I know that you guys probably know all about that. And so, do we currently have still have credit recovery at all of our school sites? And where our students are able to take it right at their high schools?
Yes, so that's part of at what happened at the semester too, for the counselors to identify the seniors who might have failed a course semester one that they need to graduate. So they immediately put them in credit recovery. So yes, that's at the sites. Students are enrolled in it, and it's a continual process and being monitored and pushing hard on that.
And the UC Merced system is catching them on the early indicator,
So
and being able to catch them to be able to get them into credit recovery. And are we able to catch them all and be able, do we have enough licenses to be able to offer that to them?
Yes to all of that. And we
Yes,
just ran
okay,
another
yes.
spread. We just had a meeting Tuesday at Sac State, actually, which was exciting, and ran a list of the kids who are in the system, who didn't show up in Infinite Campus, so we can cross-reference those grades. But yes, constantly running spreadsheets to try to catch the kids. And we have a list going on of who's 5 to 15 credits off and pulling them in and making sure they're all in online and pushing hard.
You don't know how much that warms my heart. I've been on this board for a really long time, and as being around a parent and being on the board for a long time, that was not always the case. And a lot of kids were just failing out and had to go to summer school, and then summer school would last for, a few hours, and then they would be graduated, but they were never able to make it up in just basic credit recovery, and they were never able to walk with their classes.
Yeah.
So it's great that we're catching that.
And actually, right now, the counseling teams are putting together like a specific plan on what we're doing in order to ensure, right? Because so quarter 3 ends tomorrow, and so they're going to pull those grades. And then are there any current seniors who are failing a class right now? Because then they're going to implement a plan in that last quarter to make sure, they can pass and cross the line.
So we're checking
aware.
on junior and senior.
Well, so we're constantly doing that, but now the intense focus on this last quarter of those seniors who currently got an Fs,
Yeah.
because then there's no time, right, to take that credit recovery class until after the year's over. So,
Right.
Yep, identifying all those little pockets and pushing hard.
Amazing. Great work. Thank you.
All right, Member Kayada.
So CTE and these programs, this is something that parents talk to me about all the time, and they're excited about and want to learn about. And you explained why, because not only are these skills that kids will have when they graduate, it's something that kids are excited for. It's a reason to go to school. And like what we have at Kennedy, it's something that we can be proud of as a district. So I'm really excited about continuing to grow this and not sit on our laurels and always reimagine it. So I loved what you just said about that. And I fully support that. I did want to speak a little bit on the special ed part. So I'm excited to see we're getting more special ed kids. Well, I guess, yeah, we are getting more of them in there and more of them are coming through. I've been reading more and more about the special ed space for kids who don't necessarily thrive in the traditional educational models that we have, actually can really thrive in these environments. Reading a book, maybe even communicating with their peers is not necessarily something, and obviously, special ed kids is not one entity, right? It's a spectrum of disabilities. But from what I've seen and what I've been reading, a lot of this can really work for them. So to the extent that maybe we could even look into having programs that are specialized to attract these kids who maybe are struggling because of their manifestations of their disabilities in the traditional classrooms. Start young, start them like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, start having them come shadow, bring them over to a high school that's doing this, and get them thinking about how education can work for them. I just can't say enough about how exciting it is to grow in this space. And with a population that, it's so easy to fall through the cracks or to just get them across the finish line, or, if we're lucky. In the last CAC meeting, we were talking about really, we just have this path of like, hey, do we even really graduate these special ed kids? Like, is it possible for them to graduate? And really changing that mindset, flipping it. And I think this could be one of the keys. Obviously not for every student, but for a lot of them. My own son, he has an IEP, and this kind of stuff is exciting for him. And, he's in oh God, I hope I'm right. He's in 3rd grade this year. And, he's already talking about like, hey, I want to go visit SES. I want to see what they're doing with the 3D printers. I was talking to him about what they have the MAD program at Kennedy, and he's excited about that. These kind of things that are not, your traditional book learning, but can really work for, and it's obviously not just special ed kids. It's a lot of our students. And then, like I said, when I started, just, having a reason to go to school and be excited to be there. And then you're going to put yourself through the ER classes as well. So anyway, really excited about what you're doing and fully support it.
Thank you.
And let us know how we can get you some funding I know I'm always talking to people at SES, like, hey, we need a little more support, we need this, we need that, and let's make sure we don't forget that, and if that needs to come to the board, if you need to reach out to me, because I'm, it's my school, right? Like, please do, so we can make sure we support this.
I appreciate that. And SES is a great example on how to use inclusive practices to, just they've got a lot of inclusive practices around even the robotics team. I mean, people would be surprised at the data on how many of their students are not what the assumption is around with diversity. I won't go into specific data, but I would be glad to do a board report around the diversity of that particular robotics team. It's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And we will be having SES come later on, so if, we can coordinate that. I don't know, you can work with the superintendent's office, but that might be a nice time if you can come back and speak to that. I would like to hear it for one.
Gladly. Yeah, it's more diverse than I think the assumption is sometimes. Yep.
Member Jean.
All right, thank you for the time. I was like, I knew I had questions. I'm looking at slide 9, and I want to celebrate this data. It's so wonderful to see the huge increases in the participants and the completers. I really like the increase in work-based learning. And I know that we did the listening sessions in the fall, and part of what we heard from parents was, are we building relationships with community businesses and community members to be able to facilitate students moving from high school into professions and careers? And so I just was wondering, are we working with local businesses to create these work-based learning experiences? And can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, we've got a thriving advisory board. So the last couple advisory boards, we've had around 50 plus guests, and those guests include industry, post-secondary partners, community members. This room actually fills up the last couple of times. It's been really impressive. I just want to call out, we have our career technicians at a lot of our schools where, there's a couple of vacancies, but we have career technicians at a lot of the schools. They're really the powerhouse behind this number increasing. They're doing a lot of work there. I'm just going to say underappreciated. I mean, that jump is a lot of the work that's happening behind those career techs. And anybody that's listening that's at a school site, go give your career tech a pat on the back, because a lot of that work is happening there. And it's industry. It's our industry partners. It's our business community partners. Our communications team has been just phenomenal on sharing every time we have an exciting field trip, whether it's to a news station or to an advanced manufacturing facility, they're sharing some great pictures around, those field trips. And so it really is with business. They're seeing the jobs that they can have. They're seeing people like themselves in those jobs, and they're going out and doing it. And so those are real numbers. That's really our kids. I think it was around 13 field trips to advanced manufacturing, Siemens, powder coating places, water jet laser cutting, facilities where people are making really livable wages. And so, Abraham's not here tonight. He's our work-based learning coordinator. He's just doing phenomenal work with that team. And so, those numbers, if you look at through the years, has been that team building its capacity and just doing phenomenal work. And they're taking an equity-centered approach to doing it. And so it's really a number to be proud of.
The next part of that is, of course, community schools came to mind, and that as we look at, it's more just a kind of a note. How do we ensure that we are beginning to make connections as we're building our community schools programs and the school site community teams with the work that you are doing? Because that's just going to create, I think, so much capacity. Yeah. Have you started having those conversations yet, or is it more like community schools is building and then we'll start figuring out how to work together?
We haven't been in any formal conversations with that. We've been working closely with a lot of different departments, again, with our multilingual department, with our homeless or unhoused department, with, special education department, but we have not been in any formal community schools department.
We're just getting started on
Yeah.
that. It just came to mind.
But I will, he's probably going to kill me for this, but I will make a plug that Abraham is one of the key reasons why he was such a big hire for us was he was a community schools manager in his previous life. And so that was, for me and Christina, when we did the interviews, that was one of the big assets that he brought to our team. So it is a big reason and why we operate the way that we do is because it's a big value for our team, for all of us. Yeah.
Excellent. The next comment I have, I think, is on the next slide. It doesn't have a number on it. I'm assuming 10. And this is mostly to the board. We've talked a lot about wanting like hard data numbers. And, if we set goals, how do we maybe adopt the goals that have already been set? And just pointing out that this is, LCAP Goal 1, increasing in graduation rates, and that how CTE is working inside of that data. And I thought that was wonderful here. And then my last one actually goes to master scheduling. And it was, when I saw master scheduling, my brain, of course, as the teacher went to the, I'm assuming, much larger part of your position. And that ultimately here you're talking about how master scheduling is working in the college and career space rather than like every detail. Am I correct in that assumption?
I'm doing every detail.
I figured you were. And so my brain went, whoo. But it was more, I kind of just had a couple of questions in here is like, as you're beginning to have these conversations with school sites, as you're thinking about college and career readiness, and I love that you're like at the middle schools and the high schools beginning to build the connections between the two. Because again, in our listening session, some of what we heard from community members was the challenges of knowing what school to get to, and then the challenges at high school, knowing what students were coming, and the lack of connection between that and how that gap creates challenges. And so I was just wondering, what are some of the goals you have on how we improve this process, and what are some barriers you're seeing us face at the moment?
Wow.
I know, sorry, really big.
This is only week 3. I'm just kidding.
Excellent. Well, start with what you know, and we're excited to be a part of the...
So as far as like a system to address the incoming 9th graders to like what school they're going to, right? That's something that we've been talking about at every high school that I've been to visiting, because there's a list of 9th graders that don't have course requests, right? And so as far as like an overall system as to like how we direct them to the actual school that they end up attending, that's maybe like a little bit more than me, right? Because they go to their home school. But what we're doing is finding those kids. Counselors are dividing alpha and calling those kids and saying, are you coming to JFK or did you go to St. Francis or whatever, right? But so the ask is that individual phone calls to figure out where you're actually going so that we can find out who you are and what courses you need and course select so that you're ready and scheduled when you walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that totally didn't answer your question, but
no,
that's the immediate task that we're
the
doing
immediate
right
task.
now.
And honestly, that's, I think, the one that we heard a lot, I've heard about. So I'm glad that we're working on it.
Yeah, because when they come in for their first day of school, we want them to have a full schedule and we want them to be welcomed and right? Like not like go sit in the library and don't have a schedule. So
well, and of course, even the larger of the staffing realities and if you want it to be a student-focused schedule, and then these are the only classes that are left over, and they're taking courses they're not excited about, we know how that pre-planning is just so vital. So I'm super excited that we're working on that.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's it.
All right. Member Segura.
I just kind of wanted to circle back to the focus groups area. I think it's great that you're getting the student input on it. I'm wondering how you guys are bringing in those students, and if you are reaching out to multiple different schools, or do you have a heavy majority from one school, or is it like a good equal balance?
It's definitely, it can be a challenge, right? Because of when you work with industry and you have them come to the advisory, they typically want to do it during the workday, which is hard for students because that's, right? So it's typically like a CTE teacher bringing the student. So that's a challenge. It's hard to meet everybody's needs, and you want to have industry, which is, wants to come during the workday, along with the post-secondary, which is you don't want to take too many students out of school. So we're trying to get as creative as possible to find different ways to like get all the input that's necessary. So it's an evolving process, And this is our first year doing it. I mean, we're literally, these focus group, what we did, our rollout plan was we spent the fall kind of informing our advisory board about our vision, right? We're rethinking how we support students. We kind of unpacked the experience that our students in the district were having. We really did some case studies around our students with disabilities. And then it was really in January that we started doing our focus groups. And so we're really in early stages of that. And we're trying to figure out the right fit on how to get all the different perspectives that's necessary. And that's one of the real tension points is like, you don't want to pull too many kids out of class, and it's hard to get industry like later, right? And post-secondary. So we're trying to find the right balance of that.
Can I ask what those focus groups do look like and how you are implementing the conversations that you have into the planning process?
Yeah, so we have, each one looks different. So like the students with disabilities, we have, a lot of them are younger people, so like 18, 19-year-olds who've had disabilities, who've had IEPs. Some of them come from like Alta Regional, so we have like 4 representatives from Alta Regional Center. Some of them are actual people who got services from Alta Regional. One of them is an IDEA specialist. One of them is a director. We've got people within our own district who, so we have, like Dr. Hernandez, who's an administrator for a special ed department. We have some of her team, workability team. We have Los Rios. We have people from industry like SMUD, the Sacramento Valley Manufacturing Alliance, North State Building Alliance. So we have like industry partners. It's about 15, 20 person team. I facilitate that team. And then, so within each group, we have a different facilitator who has a different lived experience related to the group. And so that's the way they look. So our African American or Black focus group met today, and then that's made up of some of our faculty and staff around the district that are African American or Black, and some industry partners, some different that one looks different, right? Because we don't necessarily have an African American or Black department, right? And so we've brought in staff members who, bring in a different sort of expertise or lived experience that's related to the group. And we've had to really think about our own positionalities and how we design those groups. And again, we're kind of in early stages of how we design this, and we're being inclusive, and they're kind of building each time we meet. They get a little bit bigger because we realize that there might be a void from one meeting, and then we do an addition in the next coming meeting.
And then, sorry, just back to the question of like how those conversations are implemented.
Do you mean like facilitated?
Yeah. Or sorry, no. Like, as you're having those conversations and you're hearing the voices and what they're saying to you and their own personal perspectives, how are you taking that information and moving it along into your actual process within college and career readiness?
That's a great question. So the focus groups have a goal. And so the goal is to design a summer experience for students that's based off a proof of concept that we did last summer. So the proof of concept was a partnership that we did with SCOE, with the Sacramento County Office of Education. And it was a career readiness class that our newcomer students had the experience of having. And so we took that as our baseline experience, and we analyzed it with the other 2 focus groups. We said, okay, here was the experience. How do we take this experience? Like, how does this meet the needs of the population that we're serving? And then that focus group basically unpacks it. And then there's usually like tasks, that follow-up task. And then that next month, we kind of report back on those tasks. And then we kind of do the follow-up work that needs to happen next, right? And so, like, for example, with our last meeting, one of the concerns was our unhoused population, and luckily I got to meet with our homeless department today, and so we actually developed some action items around how to be more inclusive with the summer experience with our unhoused students. And so when I meet with them in 2 weeks, I'll be able to report back like, yeah, we're going to be able to prioritize our unhoused students and get them laid in there. We even have some transportation planned out on how to get them to the project. And so we're backwards planning from, in that case, our July summer experience. We're backwards mapping it so that in July, the students have a robust learning experience.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for your 3 weeks. Looking forward to many more weeks and months. We're going to move on to 10.1, presentation prepared for potential November 2024 bond measure by someone who's really great, Janae Marking.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Vice President Singh, members of the board, and Superintendent Allen. I am Janae Marking, Chief Business and Operations Officer. It is my privilege to bring you agenda item 10.1. So as you recall, last June 8th, 2023, staff provided the board with just preliminary information regarding a potential bond measure for the November 2024 ballot. It was shared at the Dale Scott, the district's financial advisor, surveyed registered voters of the district between October 6th and October 8th. And as you recall, on February 1st, the board received a presentation sharing the results of that survey. There was a lot of really wonderful discussion, and the board asked us to go back and look at some additional data and bring that back. So we are here with you again tonight. So before I introduce Mr. Scott to come to the podium, just as a reminder, we had a conversation around voters being very supportive of the district in general, which is a wonderful thing. We spoke about the tax extension opportunity the district has, which would result in a ballot measure of around $540 million. We had a conversation about just the overall need in the district is in the billions, of course. And so there was just discussion as to what is the right number. Do we look at increasing taxes, so on and so forth. So staff spent a great deal of time really looking at how fast can we spend the money, right? That is one of the main questions that we looked at. And Assistant Superintendent Chris Ralston and Director of Accounting and Payroll Services Cindy Tao spent a lot of time together with their teams going over projections and plans and a schedule of what they think they can spend. We also looked forward in thinking about capacity in 2028 and being in a regular cycle of what is possible with our voters. And so I'm going to invite Mr. Dale Scott. He is president of Dale Scott & Associates, which is a municipal financial advisory firm. He is the district's financial advisor. He has over 30 years of experience in California K-14 financing, and we appreciate him as a partner. Staff's recommendation after taking a look at everything, and you will see the data to support that, is to stay at the extension of the tax rate and the $540 million, because frankly, even on a very aggressive plan, we think that just the rate of being able to spend within a bond program is the thing that for us keeps bringing us back to that tax rate extension amount. And so with that, Mr. Scott, thank you for being here. The screen up there is not working, but the ones to the side of you is.
Great. Thanks. Good evening. Well, I think that was a great introduction, pretty much encapsulated everything that happened, and I'm sure you all remember it was a while ago. But I think the question that was posed by the board at the time was a good question, which was, well, heavens, if we have such great support among our voters, and you'll probably recall that the support in the survey was very strong, and we know we have these quite large needs, why are we limiting ourselves at for this amount? Why don't we ask for more? I think that was the essence of the question. And at the time, I said, well, there's a lot of stuff that has to kind of go into that, answering that question. We spent a lot of time talking about what would be the best way of looking at this. The big three questions, I think, or the big main goals, were to provide this ongoing source of funding for facility improvements, number one. Number two, come up with a realistic schedule of expenditures, which was what Janae was just talking about. There's only so much, I mean, you can have as much money as you want, but you have to be able to spend it, you have to be able to digest it. Otherwise, you're going to end up wasting quite a bit of it. And then number three, structure the future financings so that there's no increase in the current tax rates. That was sort of the paradigm we put together. And I'm going to take you through those numbers quickly. First, you can see on this first slide are the elections that the district has had in the past. And at the bottom of the page, you can see the last measure, which was in 2020, and there still remains roughly $500,000 of those bonds that have yet to be spent. So that's where we started. We then took a look at what would the tax rates be, not only what are the tax rates currently for the bonds that are outstanding, not just for that measure, but for all the district's past elections. We can do that by knowing what the actual debt service is, and then make some estimates on what the assessed valuation growth would be, and then say, okay, this is what we project the tax rates to be. So we start out looking at those bonds that you've already passed, but that have not been sold, that are available for you. Put those into that mix on this slide. As you can see, the rates continue to go down, even though you're having these funds available to you in this case, we estimate 24 and then 26. And then we looked at the potential for the election in 2024. First on the slide that I'm showing you now, it's actually the grid that shows these funds coming out of the currently available funds. And then this next slide is the potential for a tax rate extension. This was the amount roughly that we pulled on the $500 million plus. As you can see, it still provides level tax rates, or actually tax rates that are no higher than, but go down. And then to round that out, looking at the grid again, the table, on the next page shows how these bonds would then come on every 2 years. What you see in that table is you're starting out at 200, 260, 300, 330, so there's some inflation built into that, but it's at a pace which will be, doable, but definitely a stretch to make sure that those funds are spent, but also will allow the bonds to be sold in a way that the tax rate will not increase. And then, if everything goes right, if we're still in the same environment, if those goals are achieved, you would have the ability to go back in 2028, ask for additional bonds to round that out, and then you would have the remainder of those funds coming in over the next years after that. I think what is exciting about this plan is you have the opportunity to come up with over $1 billion of funding over the next decade, to have it come in at a reasonable pace, or perhaps an aggressively reasonable pace, and to do it in a way that will not increase taxes on your current taxpayers. It's a remarkable situation. So again, I thank you for the question that you posed. I think it forced us to really step back and look, okay, let's try to knit this together into a more comprehensive plan. I think it's excellent, and I think it has tremendous possibilities for you in the next decade and beyond. The final slide shows what has to happen now as you go forward. There will be one more meeting such as this where we talk about the projects, and then goes back to the board for final approval to get on the ballot in November of 2024. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right. Let you gather your thoughts. Go ahead, Member Pritchett.
Thank you. I am trying to gather my thoughts. So I was here when we passed the Measure H bond. And that was a big push, a big ask for voters. We passed the largest bond that we had ever passed in our history. And we had a failed tax measure just 2 years prior to that, right? 1 year, 2 years, I can't remember, right before that. And so it was quite surprising that that we were able to get that one and pass through for our community. So I definitely don't shy away from these type of things. I guess in my mind, I'm just thinking, I've recently had some meetings with community members in the area that I represent, which is the far east area of Sac City Unified, Rancho Cordova, Rosemont, and College Greens. And some of their concerns were really around Measure H and asking a lot of questions about where the funding had gone. And I'm happy to sit down with them and give them the answers that they need, that they need to know of where this money had gone. But then to go out and ask again. And so I'm trying to wrap my head once again of like, we're going to go out and ask voters again for more money, right? So that's what I'm trying to get into my head. And it's like, and one of the questions I do have for you is, we saw a really low voter turnout in this last election. And so with this next election, I'm assuming we assume that we're projecting that it's probably going to be another low voter turnout, maybe?
No, I would not predict that. I would predict you're going to have a massive voter turnout.
Do you think we'll have them on the sequel that nobody asked for?
Yes, and that's not, that's not Dale Scott's prediction. That's just looking at the last 20 years of data in this county. Presidential election, I believe in the last presidential election, the turnout
Hopefully we have a
was
better
over
voter
80%.
turnout? Okay.
So it's really the presidential election that brings out all of the one-time, now and then, what I call sometimes social voters. They vote when everybody else is voting, but they don't happen to show up in a gubernatorial primary, or a presidential primary. So I would not worry about voter turnout. I'd also, in answering to or commenting on your first question or your first comment, in the survey, we did ask that question, I believe, which was, how do you feel the district has done in terms of using its funds from the last measure? I'll have to go back and check and see if that actually made it in. But my recollection is that the vast majority of people, of course, don't know. They don't follow it. And then there was a small percentage that said, no, it wasn't done, and a much larger percentage that said, no, it was done well. So sure, you're going to meet with a group. They're going to ask you questions. I understand that. But I think we have to go back to that data that surveyed the entire district when we're really looking for those details. And overall, it was extraordinarily strong.
Yeah, I mean, because a large portion of the monies that we've put in have been to our older schools, our older areas, which are really in the South area, right? And that's where it needed to be. My area hasn't seen a lot of that. So they're asking questions that need to be answered. And so that's why I was trying to wrap my head around, like, as I go back out, be prepared, right? So, okay, thank you.
So can you clarify, are you asking for direction right now tonight from us?
I don't believe so. I think this is in response to the question that you asked, which
Okay.
was, why aren't we asking for more? And then the answer is, because it would be difficult to spend more in a reasonable way. So I think this is a responsible yet also very exciting opportunity that you have. It would be easy to say, yes, let's go get more, that's great, but I don't think you'd be able to really digest it in a reasonable and responsible way over the next decade from everything I've learned from your staff and from Ms. Markey's group.
Okay. And I thank you very much for that. I mean, you 100% answered my questions. And, I'd like to be able to go big and make dramatic improvements to our school district, but I know that's also not something, like you said, that is, this is already aggressively reasonable. And I think that's something that we can sell to voters is we're doing something that is a continued investment in our school to continue improving them. Is not just a one bang. And we're not going to have a situation where 50 years from now, every single school needs to be renovated all at once. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think keeping the tax rates flat, even though we're extending them out, I think that's something we can sell to people is we're not asking for more. We're asking you to continue your commitment that you've already shown. And I think it's good. To the extent you'd like to know how to go, I think that this is good. And, I support the plan that you recommended to the board when you came before, now that we have this additional information. So I guess I'm speaking to Janae. But, and I just had one question in terms of process. Like, when we put this on the ballot, what does a school district, what does a school board typically do to support it? And I guess part of this question might be to Christina. What did we have to do with the last bond? And what can we do to make sure that if we do this, we're successful?
Well, the district, let me start over. You have really two different paths you can go down at the same time. The first is the district itself can put out a fair amount of information to voters as long as it's balanced and reasonable. It's not advocating a yes vote or a no vote for that matter. And I think that's very effective. I think it's very, very effective. We're very involved in this. We're thinking a lot about it. But the reality is most people are not really going to concentrate on this until August or September. And that's the time to really communicate with them. The district also has the ability to encourage an advocacy campaign. Obviously, you cannot use any district resources for that. But that is some option that needs to be discussed and thought over of whether that's a path you want to go down or not. It has its strengths, huge strengths. Its weaknesses, of course, is the weakness, of course, is that you have to raise money. And that's a lot in a campaign like this. And however, regarding the board, I want to be clear, the board can do anything it wants. You can say anything you want. You really don't have the kind of restrictions that employees of the district have. You're free to express your opinion in any way you wish, as long as you do not spend district resources in doing so.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, I think I'll try to make this quick. I also just appreciate the presentation. I will say that seeing it the way that you've presented it showcases that we can balance the needs of our community, especially the fact that I don't think anyone wants to see tax rates go up, especially when we look at working class families and communities like Sacramento. And I think the other part of it is just more of a community buy-in. None of the data that you presented to me made me feel like people aren't supportive. I think the data that you presented was overwhelmingly positive, especially if we maintain the tax rate that we're at. So I guess speaking to what you're talking about, Member Pritchett, I haven't received that type of feedback. I feel like this sounds like an opportunity to showcase piece by piece how we're effectively improving our school district, how we're improving our schools, and we have an opportunity to prove it at each junction. I know that our staff is doing a great job upgrading and creating new schools. And the other piece of that is also making sure that when we do have those accomplishments, that we're able to express that to the community and showcase to the community and continue to build that buy-in. Because I really feel like for the people of Sacramento, that if you truly are bought in to building a better city and decreasing the issues that our city has, then you need to work at the school district level and make sure that our children are in district in a place where they get the resources, the support, the food, the housing, everything that we can provide in our power to make sure that they can go out and be great citizens in Sacramento. And if you put it like that, I can't imagine anyone being against this. So I just appreciate you presenting it and showcasing the power of putting $1 billion together, even if it's over a decade, and what we can do with it. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This brings us to 11.0, communications. So first up, we have student member report.
Okay. I'll just do SAC. We have been able to have great opportunities having our board members in the space. Mr. Rhodes came yesterday, which was really helpful, and we learned a lot through that. We're also in the process, again, with our development of our initiatives. We're bringing back one from last year that we needed to expand a bit more on funding wise. So we're meeting up with a few different departments within the school district to finalize those, make sure that everything's tight and ready. That was the only concern that we got from feedback from you guys last year. So we're hoping once we've tightened that up, we can bring it in early on and just one and done, hopefully get that out of the way, and you guys will hopefully say yes on that. But we're pretty excited about that. Then we have 2 more beyond that, as well as a collaborative effort with a student from the district who came to us asking for support on his initiative, which you guys will be seeing within the next few coming weeks as well. So, yeah, that's all I can think about right now.
All right, thank you. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone back this week from spring break. I hope our students and staff are well rested and energized to finish this academic year strong. Although we were closed last week, we still had meaningful events happening at our schools. Thank you again to Diana Flores and the Nutrition Services team for yet another successful curbside pantry box distribution in partnership with Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. Food boxes were distributed to our families in need across 5 of our school sites at Sequoia, Wilsey Wood, John Sloat, Earl Warren, and Ethel Phillips. Each box also contained a book from the Sacramento Public Library to help encourage literacy and learning during the break. I'm also excited to share that a new 30-foot high mural was unveiled to the community over break at Miwok Middle School. The mural was painted by experienced mural artists mentoring 14 Native teenagers in partnership with Native Dads Network and Hope Through Art. This mural project is a demonstration of the change and collaboration we are hoping to see at our schools. I am proud of Miwok Middle School for embracing this new identity in such a beautiful and impactful way. Speaking of impactful, I'd like to congratulate our students who are achieving great things in athletics and academics. Yesterday, McClatchy's Nina Kane was honored at the Sacramento Bees Girls as the Sacramento Bees Girls Basketball Player of the Year. Excellent. That is their highest individual honor. In addition, we had 3 other students receive the Sacramento Bees All-Metro Team honors, including Leilani Edinburgh of West Campus was named to the first All-Metro team. Norette Lewis of McClatchy was named to the second All-Metro team. And Casey Shinmoto of Kennedy was named to the 6th All-Metro team. Congratulations. I'd also like to recognize Emmanuel Katima from Phoebe Hurst Elementary and Hadasha Golub of John Cabrillo Elementary for qualifying for the 2024 Capital Spelling Bee, which is a Scripps National Spelling Bee regional qualifier event. Thank you to the Terrell C. Gladney Memorial Academy for their work to put this event at John F. Kennedy High School on last month. Lastly, yes, thank you. Lastly, Jesse, can you come to the podium, please? Jesse, we would like to honor you because this is your last board meeting, yes?
It is, yes.
Yes. So I know the board members would also like to just thank you for your service to this district, to the students, to the family, to the community of Sac City Unified School District, but I would like to say you are such a man of integrity. You are just a very special person. You're collaborative. You are a man of high integrity and respect. You're just a gentle giant to me because you have a calm demeanor, but you always would get your point across. And I respect you, and I appreciated you. You stepped up when we needed you, and you did great work, Jesse. And I want to thank you publicly, and you will be missed greatly. We have big shoes to fill, but I'm happy for you. No, I don't want you to go. Wow. I think that's a first for me. I don't want you to go, but I do wish you well. And so you will be missed, and we will have a green apple for you. But I do want to honor you and thank you for your service at Sac City.
Thank you so much.
I know, we're going to keep you. You have to say more than thank you so much. Need some nice parting words from you, Jess.
Well, I guess I will add a few parting words. I didn't expect this. It is extremely humbling to be up here being recognized, and I do really appreciate it, and would just like to express my gratitude for my experience here. I know we've gone through a lot of challenges. There's still more challenges to overcome, but at the end of the day, there's some incredibly kind and compassionate people I've had the opportunity to work with here, and it's been very rewarding and fulfilling. And I'll always look back fondly because what I've learned from them, all the support I've gotten from them, and how we've been able to serve the district as well. So I just really appreciate my experience here. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to information sharing by our board members. So light it up. I'm waiting for the click. There you go. Oh, Member Rhodes. Nice to hear from you today. Go ahead.
Yeah, most definitely. So this Saturday, April 6th, we're going to have a free basketball clinic camp at John Still Middle School. So if you guys are available to come out, this will be April 6th from 9 to 12, ages 7 through 14 can attend at John Still Middle. My office is sponsoring, and we would love to see folks out to come play some basketball, bring your kids. Also, on May 4th, we're going to have a first annual Area 5 Mother's Day Pancake Breakfast. And so we are looking for volunteers. Please reach out if you guys are interested in volunteering at all. We're going to have a very good time, first time trying to bring mothers together and celebrate them in the south side of the city. So thank you.
All right, Mother's Day and May the 4th. It's a great combination. May the 4th. Okay, I'll stop. Any other comments? All right, I guess I'll comment. I just want to, no, I'm going to try to be serious for a second. But I just want to mention that I know that a lot of our students are celebrating lots and lots of religious holidays. So I just want to recognize all the different ethnicities, religions, faiths, communities, whatever you believe in. It's been a very religious month, right? So we had Easter, we have Passover this month. We have students who are celebrating, currently fasting for Ramadan, and then also will be breaking their month-long fast next week. I obviously want to be able to mention my own community. For the Sikh community, April 13th is our biggest religious holiday with Vaisakhi, which marks the start of the second month in the Sikh calendar and also recognizes the beginning of the Sikh Khalsa order, which is the visible identity that we embody on a daily basis. And for many of you who have seen Sikh students are Sikh individuals who wear their turbans and wear their kirpans. That date in 1699 is what we're alluding to for the beginning of that. So encourage you all, as always, to learn about each other, to build respect for one another. I say that to all of us, our staff, our parents, our students, everyone who's listening, that in order to actually create a safe environment, you have to actually get to know one another and learn about each other. And in that same vein, I've been speaking about this for months. It's not lost on me that this past weekend was another very deadly weekend for folks back in Gaza, in Palestine. And I think part of that, especially the bombing that occurred, which is there is no excuse to attack aid workers. There is no excuse to kill innocent folks. And for some reason, we continue to have federal leaders who lack the courage to speak up. And while we don't have that type of power at this local level, I think every individual has the power to speak up and say that wrong is wrong and right is right. And then part of that includes the fact that we're doing this as someone who's not part of those three major religions, that folks are suffering at a time when all those three major religions are supposed to be celebrating some of the most important times in their communities, whether it's Ramadan, it's Passover, it's Easter, Good Friday, all these things. These are all well-meaning, well-intentioned holidays. And as someone who respects and loves to learn about faiths and religions, it is lost on me that we continue to have empty promises from leaders who will happily put up a post and say happy this and happy that. But the only way to make people truly happy is to make sure that they're alive, to make sure that they're saved, that they have a roof over their head, and that children no longer suffer. I constantly think about the trauma that our kids are facing here when they continue to see faces on the internet and on TV of dead children. Our kids don't deserve to see that. Our kids deserve better, and our kids deserve to have leaders in the future that will not perpetuate war and war crimes. So I just want to close out with that from my end. And to the kids who listen and who are watching or have the opportunity to watch, I'm sorry that you're seeing this. I'm sorry that this is the world that you live in, but know that there are people out there who are working very, very hard to ensure that you don't face these type of situations in the future. And I really hope that the world can do better. So thank you. So moving on to consent agenda.
Sorry. I wanted to pull 12.1A.
Which one?
For discussion, not for 12.1A.
All right, 12.1A. All right, do we have a motion to move everything with the exception of 12.1A? A second? All right, roll call. We will start with student preferential.
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Pritchett? Aye. Member Rhodes?
Just a point of order, was public comment asked for?
No.
It's not been, sorry. No, I did
We,
not.
we do not have any.
Thank you. That's a classic line. Thank you. Go ahead.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye. All right. Item 12.1A, go ahead, Member Kayada.
Okay, thank you. So I dog-eared the page. There we go. So we have a contract with our business services department to get audit services with Crow. I just wanted to bring this up because this time last year on March 16th, so a little over a year ago, I had asked, and I believe my motion was for us to rotate audit firms this year. The benefits, which I alluded to last year, of rotating audit firms, this is not from anything I have to say about this district, but my experience as a CPA. is they come in, they have different audit procedures. It's new people. I understand, when Crow comes in, the staff auditors are going to be different year to year. But it's the same audit shop. It's the same way of looking at things. And there's benefits of just having a new firm come in. And then, we can go back to Crow next year. I just think we need to have someone come in. So, and I have spoken to the superintendent about this. It's too late now this year, of course, and we've had a lot of turnover in staff in this department, and Jesse now, just tonight, is his last meeting, so I do understand. So there's no motion here to do anything other than approve this, but I would just like to request that before next year, we make sure we rotate auditors, just to make sure we get those benefits that'll make sure that we have, the best look at our books. And also, I think, as having been an external auditor, it's a partnership, and you can actually learn a lot as staff, and that's what I'm looking for our team, to make sure that we just are doing our best and providing the best oversight from the board. But that's it. Otherwise, unless anyone has any other comments, I would move it. I just wanted to make sure that was noted.
Perfect, thank you. Does anybody have any comments? Ooh, look at that time. All right, are you moving? All right. All right, let's do a roll call.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
You need to do preferential?
Yeah, sorry.
Aye.
Okay.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Aye. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye. All right, thank you so much. All right, so 13.0 future board meetings. We have April 18th, 2024, right here. 5 o'clock for closed session and 6:30 for open, Cerna Center. And then May 2nd, 2024, 5 o'clock, same thing. We'll see you here. All right. Okay, no.